Thank you very much. Do you think I can skip the use of the microphone, or do you prefer I'm using it?
You look louder, yeah.
Better with the microphone?
Yes, please.
Okay. So thank you very much for inviting me to this event, and thank you to Liam and Biggerplate for making a lot of effort in making it's working. Okay, for making this mind mapping community a real stuff. I'm going to talk to you about one topic that I'm much involved in. That's facilitation. Group meetings with mind mapping. Here you can see, I'm not going to read it, the official definition of facilitation by the International Association of Facilitators. That's a quite standardized one. All the idea of facilitation is having somebody that's the facilitator who is helping a group of people going through a discovery process from a starting point to a kind of solution. And normally this facilitator has an important role because he's helping the group reaching these objectives, but must be a third party. I mean, in most of the cases, a real facilitator is out of the decision process, has no power in the decision, so he can facilitate the process itself. When you think about a facilitator role and competencies, without going into the definitions, think about a conductor. And I use this image from Claudio Abbado, who was the conductor of the Berliner Philharmoniker since a long time before, unfortunately, passing away. This role of conductor is fundamentally being aware of the group competencies, knowledge and dynamics, and encourage contribution from the individuals. Encourage contribution and keep their focus on one specific set of objectives. Doing this, a facilitator is acting like a conductor, blending experiences and contribution into the journey of the group to the solution. And this is what we call orchestrate the journey of the group. I'm pretty sure that all of you, mind mapping people, during the definition reading, have immediately understood the basic and fundamental value of mind mapping in the facilitation process. First of all, you use mind mapping to organize the event, planning, tracking, recording, and presenting the stuff that you need for the event itself. But mind mapping is a tremendous tool for visualizing. Visualizing because it's a metaphor of thinking process, and it can be a metaphor of the journey in terms of exploration and discovery. And it's also a metaphor that allows you to explain clearly the outcome of the event, the storyline and the path forward. Mind mapping is a powerful tool to stimulate association and connections, we know very well. So this is fostering dialogue and the contribution of the individuals and giving an impulse to creativity, define new ideas. It helps keeping the focus because the central image is always visible and all the connections are visible too, and the direction to the original scope. Because facilitation is a structured process. Don't think of it like, just sit together and have creative ideas and put on the tables and we are all happy at the end. It needs to reach an objective, and the client who is hiring you as a facilitator, consultant, at the end of the day wants to see the team producing a result toward the objectives. And helps seeing the structure of the process. That's very important, because when people see the structure can work better on this. And again, working on the association and connection, always keeping them in front of you. This means to see the big picture through the map. Sorry. We are going to have a quick look at the use of mind mapping in 3 types of typical facilitation events: the work cafe, the experiential learning, and the brainstorming. The work cafe, this is going to be in the presentation material, so I'm not going through all the steps. A work cafe is an experience where you put small groups into tables, and people with the host are thinking and brainstorming, let's say, and asking questions and giving answer on a specific topic. And during the work cafe, you have people, jumping from one table to the other, because this is allowing what is called cross-pollination. It means people can give a contribution based on the other's contribution. The ideal setting of a work cafe requires playing, doodling, and drawing. So what's better than a mind map to force people on paper, sometime on the tablecloth they are using at their table, to draw something and to organize something, to remember and develop the knowledge. So in a work cafe, you normally use a kind of mind map. This is a template I'm using in work cafe, where you have a branch that questions, so the question you explore and that means something for you, and then you have the different perspective of the group captured, individual, cultural, whatever, and the insight of the group. So the group has a collective contribution, a collective knowledge, to see patterns and to go deeper in the questions. At the end, you have discoveries, and this is the outcome of the mind map and of the process. So you use the mind map to organize and harvest the knowledge that has been created, the innovation, and to make everything visible and actionable. That's very important for the results. Another very interesting kind of collaborative discussion is what is called experiential learning. What we normally do in this case, we use games as metaphors of processes and specific relevant situations that gives the people a playful context to action something that at the end of the day is a metaphor of a situation. The people during the game goes through an experience and then is asked to stay together and debrief what they've seen and to go through what is called the COLB cycle, the typical experiential learning cycle. That is to have an experience, to reflect on the experience and record what happened, and then to make some kind of conceptualization about this experience, to be able to put some action in place in a different domain. So at the end of the day, the briefing map for experiential learning is something like this. You ask the people to play and to move around and to act to get the experience, and then they have to stay together and reflect. It means recording what has happened and record the feelings and the findings of the experience. To create a kind of conceptualization, it means a model that can be applied to other situations, a kind of hypothesis on how can this work, and a kind of plan. And when you have this, people can start applying, and the cycle starts again, apply to other situations, future situations, different situations, and most of all, imagine what is this experience meaning for me in my job, in my life, in my work, in this specific business case. And when you can imagine, you can do. And if you can do, you can build a different kind of world or context. The brainstorming, okay, I'm not going to spend time on a lot of time in the basics of brainstorming. Everybody knows brainstorming, everybody has used brainstorming. Just a couple of very important points about brainstorming. Building on other ideas. Building on other ideas means being able to listen and to build on this. The group, when you work in a group, you needed to consider that individuals are much better in generating ideas than a group in terms of divergent and convergent thinking. What does it mean? It means that normally when you run a good brainstorming, you ask individuals to prepare a little map of their own individual ideas, to bring this map in as a ticket of entry to smaller group meetings where they put together the ideas on another map. They simplify, they organize, and at the end of the day they come up in the big room where the facilitator is creating a map of the map, and the process continues building on others. This is very important. In this case, the mind map is keeping the attention on the central idea, is allowing building on others' idea, and is making connection and association visible. That means channeling the discussion. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm just going very quickly through the couple of basic templates that you use for brainstorming capture. This is the very popular 5 W's and 1 H. That is what you ask people to focus on, because this is basically, facts, causes, places, people, time, and processes. So this is the thing that you ask people to keep an eye on during the brainstorming. There is another way of doing outcome mapping of a meeting or session that's more oriented to business, complex situation, organizational, and has a focus on challenges, success factors, and suggestions and open comments. This kind of outcome mapping is one of the templates I use more as a basic when we work through business situations. And last but not least, the more focused on problem solutions group discussion. This is slightly different from the other one because it has a focus on concerns, and concerns means emotional, rational, and also have a space for organizing data. Okay, just to close, this is a basic recap of the difference between drone and computer mind mapping. So I don't want to re-enter in this discussion. At the end of the day, the very important point is that the facilitation world is definitely a flip chart and post-it world. But I believe that especially when you have to deal with big groups and to structure processes with different steps, different layers, a computer mind map is much more efficient. The only requirement for sure is you make sure that you allow people a little movement, because it risks to be quite sedentary compared to sticking stuff on a board, and to have a screen, a big enough screen with enough definition to make the map visible to everybody, especially when it's becoming big and big. Thank you very much.